The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Welcome to The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu. We got a great show for you. And Bucky, it seems like you got handsomer. I don't know.
A lot of hard work, determination, getting on the treadmill a little bit, just for men, get the hair going back. But yeah, it's good to be here.
Matt Choumont, of course, replacing Greg. Greg is out of commission at the moment. He's feeling a little bit under the weather, but you're filling in. And thanks a lot for coming on, Matt.
Yeah, happy to be here.
And I'm pleased to be joined by Kyle Harris. Now, I remember having you as a guest a couple years prior when you were a Bobcats player.
Yes,
Fast forward a couple years, now you're the play-by-play guy and marketing director for the same Bobcats. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Did you ever think you were going to be back here?
You know what? I didn't, and I'm happy to say I'm glad to be back. So it's love the border city, so it's good to be back.
Well, I'm sure the border city loves you, especially with the way you played. Definitely that was the case. Well, you know what? We'll start off with the Bobcats. How about that, Kyle? And you get the first question. RBC Cup came here. The announcement came, guys, yesterday. Officially, of course, the news kind of trickled down over the weekend, but it is here, and that's huge for the city, especially the team. And I know they were trying to bid for the Western Canada Cup. Mm-hmm. That kind of failed, but this seems a little bit better. So in your mind, Kyle, since you're in the inside of the Bobcats and a former player as well, how huge is this for the franchise?
This is huge. If someone, like I was telling Matt, if someone was to tell me that the Bobcats were going to get the RBC 6 years ago, I would have said you're crazy. This is so much upside, not only to bring the national championship to Lloyd, but Lloydminster can show to the country. And for what this organization will get out of it, you're going to get prospects coming in from all over. I mean, if you're going to recruit a kid and you're saying, hey, look, we got a national championship coming here, it's going to do you wonders. So it's nothing but upside for this team in this city.
And look at the coaches that they have. Gary Van Herwey, been there, won a championship with Camrose. Gord Thibodeau, a proven head coach, coached over 1,000 games in the AJHL. Two great coaches, players, coaches, people want to come here, like you said. And I've been covering this team. Will be my third year. I've been in the border city for 6 now, and like you said, I would not expect it. After Brian Kern left and Ryan Parent came in for half a year, what it was going downhill pretty quick. But they got the right tools. They bring in the right personnel, and it's going to be exciting in 2016. That's
Very
for sure.
Exciting.
And it's definitely a change, knowing how this franchise, it wasn't mediocre, but there have been more lean years than those good years. So to have something like this to come to fruition, what does that mean for the team, not just 2 years down the road when you know they're going to load up trying to go for an RBC title, but what does that mean for the team now? Are they going to be impacted now for the upcoming season?
I think so. I mean, you take a look at the roster that they got coming back this year. They've got 16 players coming back, 3 goaltenders possibly returning, and then you add Gord Thibodeau in and what he can bring for recruits, and Gary has no problem with that. I think you're going to see an impact this year, and I think this year you're actually going to see a standard for the team where, as years before, it was, okay, let's try and make the playoffs. This year, I think there's actually going to be expectations, and this city is going to see a pretty good product on the ice.
Yeah, with the young group that they got now, talking to Gord yesterday, he said, you can't buy teams no more. You're going to have to recruit. You're going to have to make the odd couple trades. But the group of guys that they're bringing back next year, you got Patrick Geary, you got Woodward, you got Lyndon Springer who's coming back. They got a good group of guys that are going to come back. And if you can add pieces here and there, maybe a third-line guy, or maybe find that pure goal scorer that the Border City's been looking for years now. Well, you were a pretty good puck scorer back in the day, right?
Yeah.
But if they can find that pure goal scorer, which they should with Gary and Gord at the helm, it's going to be fun to watch these Bobcats in the next couple of years here.
Talk about pure goal scorers. Talk about the Los Angeles Kings. Didn't think I'd use that in the same sentence, but it seemed picking up Marian Gaborik, the trade deadline, was phenomenal. Then you throw in the way you got the guys like Toffoli playing. You throw in, of course, Jeff Carter, Anze Kopitar, who's leading the playoffs. What do you say about this offense? It seems phenomenal. Then on top of that, you have the New York Rangers, who've done well, particularly defensively. A little underrated when it comes to that, and of course, led by their superstar goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist. What is going to be that X factor that's going to win it for either side?
I just think overall it's LA's series to lose. I think you take a look at LA's depth and their grit up front with their size and offense. I just don't think New York has to match that, and nothing against Henrik Lundqvist and that team over there, but you take a look at that offense up front. All 12 of those guys can play. You look at the line of Pearson, Toffoli, and Carter. one of the hottest lines
70s
right
line.
now.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
beautiful line.
And then Marian Gaborik as well, 12 goals. I mean, the guy has just been a scoring machine and obviously the best pickup at the deadline so far.
You're looking for the X factor in this series. Goaltending, you can almost cancel out with Quick and Lundqvist, very good. Defense, maybe give the edge to New York. I don't know what Doughty, it's going to be close. Forwards, you have to give the edge to LA, but I think the X factor is going to be down the middle with the centerman because you got such big men. You got Kopitar, you got Jeff Carter, you got Jared Stoll. And you got a guy like Mike Richards on the fourth line.
That just shows the depth right there.
Down the middle, it's going to be very tough for Alain Vigneault to try to match lineups because you got great centers all four lines.
Well, how about the Montreal Canadiens? I know the center position might be one they're going to look at, but also defensively, PK Subban undoubtedly deserves a big contract. Now it's just a matter of how many dollars and cents the Canadiens are willing to offer. He has been dogged by both his GM, Marc Bergevin, as well as his head coach, Michel Therrien, for his play. But you saw it, especially during the playoffs, he's a performer. Does he deserve big money, and will the Canadiens offer him big money?
I think so. I think he's going to receive big money. How much? I don't know, but I definitely think over the $6 million range. You look at the other guys, Drew Doughty, who makes $7 million, Erik Karlsson, $6.5. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the $6.3 to $6.8 million range.
When he reach over 7?
No, well, he'll probably get it, but I don't think he
Phaneuf
deserves
is
it.
making that much money. It seems ridiculous, but that's the inflated
Leafs
rate
are kind
now.
of stupid, though, right? Don't get me wrong. Sorry, Leafs fans, but that wasn't a smart signing.
I don't think the Leaf fans are in general would agree with you, Matt.
Whatever. My team's in the cup final. I say around the range about 5.5, 6.5. He's probably going to get the 8, which I don't think he should. There's no way he should be making more money than a Shea Weber or a Ryan Suter. He's good, but he's the top defensive player in a short season.
Regardless,
in a short
still
season.
won. He's still the top defensive player. You look what he did in the playoffs. Led the team in scoring. That's got to say something for.
Does that say he's that good or his team is not that good?
No, I say
I have to say PK Subban. He impresses me a lot in this postseason. He showed that he's a true gamer.
He did it on both sides of the ice.
And he did, and that's right. And if you're Marc Bergevin, you got to look at what this guy brings to the table, what he can do with this young core group, and just the fact that he can be a game changer. I think he is in the consideration with guys like Drew Doughty and Erik Karlsson, but what he gets over $7 million, I don't think is appropriate, but I think in the 6.5 range is pretty accurate.
Very quickly, we'll get to Marc Bergevin himself, saying his team definitely needs some help. They're not quite there yet in terms of being a Stanley Cup contender. What are some of the things and issues you feel that they can or need to address going into it? Gionta is not coming back. Doesn't sound like it.
I think it really depends on what they do with Vanek, right?
That's
and
true.
If Vanek can play the hockey that he did near the end of the regular season, because he was pretty fantastic, but playoffs, the third round, where was he? I don't know. Maybe you need another guy like Vanek. Maybe you need to find some size. Goaltending's there. Defense is Markov is back, right?
That's right.
Yep. So they got the defense. I think they just need to see what they do with Vanek and maybe add another top 6 guy.
I think that's it. I mean, you look at the young core that they have. They've got guys like Pacioretty, Gallagher, Galchenyuk. Up front right there, those are 3 guys that you can build a team around. And even Rene Bourque, how good he was in the playoffs, if they can get that consistency back in the regular season. But like Matt said, I think they need to go out and find another top 6 guy that solidified himself and can bring a veteran presence to that team as well.
All right, guys, when we return, we're going to talk about Phil Mickelson and is in a little bit of hot water. We're not talking about the golf course. We're talking about his FBI issues coming up.